Hi guys, I'm Shmi, hello and welcome back to the channel where we have a very exciting new car to look at here, something you probably aren't expecting from McLaren at Quail Motorsports Gathering 2022. This has been codenamed BC08. What we know so far is that it's an extremely limited track version, all of which are pre-sold, and very shortly that cover is going to be pulled off and we'll be able to have a full first look at this new McLaren Hypercar. I'm going to state the obvious for a moment. This looks extreme to the max. The shape of the car under the covers here very much reminds me of the Vision Gran Turismo concept, which was launched a few years ago, the collaboration between McLaren and the Gran Turismo gaming franchise. That was actually just before the launch of the Senna or even the Sabre, but that was a single-seat, track-focused machine, and that is what I suspect we're looking at here. Absolutely radical aerodynamics, a massive rear wing, a very small central canopy, presumably a single-seater that would look right at home at the 24 Hours of Le Mans or something of that ilk. We've known it as BC08, Bespoke Commission 08, a limited run of 25 units, globally available, and we've heard rumours that perhaps it's powered by a Judd V10 as well. So stay tuned, and we shall see all very shortly.
The story of this car starts in 2017 when we decided with our partner Sony to create a car for a video game. And we transform now this digital car in a real car, what nobody else has done before. We are seated in this car like a jet pilot. It's a single-seater, and this single-seater concept led us also to the name of this car. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome with me the new McLaren Solus GT.
Well, that sounds mighty impressive. Here we go. The McLaren Solus GT. Solus single-seat GT Vision Gran Turismo come to life.
Okay, take a look at
We've
that,
seen the
everybody.
prototypes, we've seen the test cars in spy shots, but look at this in person. What a stunning thing, which we're going to take a full look at in detail today. Sound effects in the background of the V10. We're getting a bit of an idea of what this is going to sound like. Look at this thing. Massive splitter, single seat cabin, canopy. Connected space and cutaways, that rear wing. And a soundtrack like that for the Solus GT. Here it is then, the McLaren Solus GT, and my goodness, we have a lot to take in with this. It has wowed the crowds. This is not what we were expecting at all. McLaren have stunned the audience here at Quail with the introduction of this extreme to the max race car with 25 units to be made, all of which are all sold out. But let's start with the name, then we will discuss the aero. Look at this wing, look at the cutaways, and the engine, the V10 engine that powers the Solus GT. So what's in a name? Solus represents solo. It is a single-seater. You have a single central seating position with a canopy that actually slides forward. We'll come back to have a better look at that in a moment. GT, because it is the realization of the Vision Gran Turismo concept. The model introduced, like others from different manufacturers for the game, the Gran Turismo franchise, where millions of players have been able to play with cars like this within the games, but now this is the first GT concept to become a reality. 25 to be made. The first of the 25 customer cars is already undergoing testing and will be delivered in 2023, but the facts and figures for the Solus GT are absolutely mind-boggling. This weighs only 1,000 kilos, 2,205 pounds. It has a 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V V10, and you might be thinking that sounds familiar from an engine found in Volkswagen Group products like the Lamborghini Huracan and the Audi R8, but it is not that. In fact, it is a motorsport-orientated Judd V10 that revs to 10,000 RPM, which will sound absolutely phenomenal. Those are engines you frequently find in, say, 90s F1 cars that have been restored to be started on the button as opposed to needing an entire F1 pit crew. But this will be through an entire program with McLaren. That begins from the specification and ordering process all the way through. But I want to talk about the entry to the car. This canopy, this central seating position, how does that work? You do not have traditional doors. In fact, the top canopy actually curves and slides over forwards, with that experience beginning before you have even stepped into it, with the canopy sliding forwards to climb into the middle from either side into your fitted seat with your fitted F1 inspired steering wheel, with all of your gear and equipment that will be supplied with the car as well. The full helmet, hands and FIA approved race suit in your $4 million package for one of these. $4 million is the total net of taxes price for the Solus GT. Now let's talk a bit more about the aero. Look at the wing back here, this dual layered fixed rear wing, similar in some ways to that of the Senna GTR and the Sabre, but I would say with more flair, with more visual flair and drama to the design. We're mounted in a similar way to on the Senna with the dual tiered layers. The effect of this is to improve even further the aerodynamic capabilities of it. We have this shark fin that runs over the back of the engine bay section down towards the rear. Back here we've got a gurney on the upper level of the bodywork. We've got these gigantic central exhaust tailpipes. We've got the F1 style light beneath. Then we have these massive diffuser tunnels. I feel like you could almost lie completely underneath there. But look at all of the shapes. Look at everything that's going on here. The way the wing curves and cuts in, the way you have these cutaways, all of the various arms and things, the openings behind the wheels and the tyres. We need to talk about those. As we come around, some openings here for the cooling naturally of that engine. Likewise around towards the side of the car. This actually reminds me very much of a Formula One style body. When you look at the shapes and the louvres and the cutaways, it's very, very low down towards the ground. Obviously we've got the carbon look here. This is a concept model as opposed to the final production car. You can see how low it sits though, and then we get to everything happening here. Look at how open all of this is. The control arms that you can see, the suspension system that all lies within, the shapes that you have effectively, the teardrop cabin, some off-board hanging out wheels with some covers over the top of them to give it that look, to give it that style. We've got things like the knacker duct here to accelerate the airflow in and through the car. As we come around towards the side, the wheels and the tyres, we've got a Le Mans Hypercar spec tyre setup available for the car, slicks or wets, obviously the centre lock lightweight wheels that go along with that. And then look around the front. We've got this exposed open section in the middle with the suspension components you can see there. We've got the contrast stripe in the dark metallic green over the white on this particular car. Then we've got all of the openings. You can see straight through it all the way around. Before we get to the very front and have a look here, basically the two levels of the splitter being mounted from above. The lights, these tiny little strips here on the very front of that leading edge. The splitter right down to the ground, right out forwards, the lower level helping as much as possible with the aero, with the end plates up towards the side, and these covers over the wheel, very much styled as we saw on the Vision GT, but now in reality. The reality of this car becoming something 25 lucky customers are going to be able to enjoy and are going to be able to drive out on the road. It is mad to think that they have done this. The BC08 Bespoke Commission project that started a fair few years back, that led customers to wanting something to match that Vision Gran Turismo concept that was shown, certainly igniting ideas, igniting minds, giving thoughts as to what it could become, and this is now what we're looking at here. This is now McLaren surprising the world with the introduction of the Solus GT. There are a couple more things I'd like to show you on the Solus GT, but before we do, just here we have a 765 LT Spider that I have actually filmed before. This very car from McLaren North America was actually visiting the Triple F Collections garage and took part in their event a couple of months ago, one of the 700 765 LT Spiders, except, as you can probably notice, with the full exposed carbon fiber bodywork. Of course, that will be an option for Solus GT customers, but quite a rare option to see on something like this, particularly the way it's finished with the contrast, turquoise, almost Tiffany blue accents and details that you see around, like the underside of the wing, the emphasis on the aero parts and the flicks and the blades, even on the brake calipers and some of the interior pinstriping as well around those carbon fiber bucket seats, also around the dashboard trim and other areas of the interior. If we walk back over this way, past the Solus GT, just look at that thing, so representative of the Vision Gran Turismo. Here we have Artura, the hybrid twin-turbo V6, which was launched, I guess, about 2 years ago. It's been plagued by a number of problems along the way, but not too far now from being able to experience one myself, hopefully, and seeing them in the hands of customers. The first drives and test drives and experiences for media have taken place. Look at the spec of this car. Look at that fade on the dashboard. That's quite unusual. But the white interior, again, light blue turquoise pinstripes around the seats, but the light interior against the white paintwork and some of these accents that you can see with the design that it's been given over the front and over the top of that car as well. But I want to come back to this, to the Solus GT. This is what it's all about, because some things that really stand out. Firstly, cool piece of engineering here. The knacker ducts that I mentioned on the side aren't your primary cooling. You have some big intakes just here, but they actually have a secondary purpose. When you've slid the canopy forward, it just lifts slightly and then slides forward. They actually act as the step. So you step on there on either side to climb in. When you're then in and you pull this back with a fighter jet style whoosh, you actually then have all of your controls up on the roof. The controls, like for example to start it, for the ignition, that kind of thing. You have your rear view as well, a full wide angle rear view camera and display setup so that you're aware of what's behind you if you're on a cool down lap or something like that. And then it's just so close to the Vision Gran Turismo. I've been looking at some pictures of it while I'm standing here looking at the car, and the shapes of everything, the wing, the sides of it, the bodywork, the sculpturing, the shapes, all exactly as per the model, or I suppose I should say the concept that was in the game a few years back. This is what's blowing my mind though, looking at this. And even the components in here are actually aerodynamically shaped. Even those are wind tunnel tested to make sure that they are fully optimized and do everything that they need to do. Now, one other thing I want to show you, if we come around towards the very back of the car, is actually to stick my camera underneath the diffuser. I mentioned earlier that it goes all the way. It literally goes through. You can see all the way out the front of the car through the diffuser tunnels, which is very, very cool to look at. Now, this is basically in final form. This is effectively the final Solus GT. This is how it is going to be as the cars go to customers in terms of the bodywork. Obviously, we need to have the window revealed so that we can check out the interior at some point soon. But nonetheless, really quite remarkable and a very big surprise to see this. In terms of the engine, it's not just, let's say, an off-the-shelf engine, by the way. It is heavily bespoke for McLaren. It's heavily bespoke in terms of the parts of the engine itself, in terms of the setup, in terms of the whole build, and the maintenance, the program, and everything around the development of it and the testing of it. And I believe customers are going to be getting their first drives in these in the very near future. In fact, before the year is out, which is really quite remarkable as well. But this is just game concept that seemed impossible, albeit in the game you did actually lie leaning forward. So you would lie feet back in here somewhere and have your hands out above your head on the steering wheel. Obviously not realistic in the real world. They've managed to keep the form of the bodywork and convert it to a more typical traditional seating style of configuration. Here we have it then, the reveal today at Quail of the McLaren Solus GT, a car that not many of us were thinking we would be seeing. And I cannot wait to be at a race circuit somewhere, a Grand Prix style circuit. This is not a car suited to the Nordschleifer, it is far too low for that, to hear some of these going by. From the startup experience of it, I imagine it is going to be phenomenal, to the sound of this thing at 10,000 or perhaps slightly over RPM. That's going to be unbelievable. Imagine if they took multiple of them out on track somewhere like Silverstone or Spa or something like that together. Oh my word, that would be amazing. 25 lucky customers of these, including a few friends. The Triple F collection are going to be taking delivery of one, as is Manny Koshbin. So hopefully the guys will get them out in action and get them on the road, on the tarmac, I should say, of Formula One circuits, or some amazing places to enjoy. But for today, that has been another phenomenal reveal here at Quayle Motorsports Gathering 2022, part of Monterey Car Week. Fantastic show, brilliant event, and an incredible car that I look forward to finding out a whole lot more about in the not too distant future. So thank you very much for your support as always. That is it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers.